We got to move
Okay.
away from that. I mean, he won. It's just as
Okay.
simple as that.
Okay, we're gonna give you that. You want whatever. But let's talk about before you go into your orders and everything. Why is it always something
Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
why is it always something different and it's excusable and he have a alibi when it's something that Trump does versus someone else? I am so tired of every day from President Carter's funeral with Michelle Obama's absence. Why are you making such a big deal out of that for that and for the inauguration? You didn't even have the decency to come to the inauguration of Biden. You was on your plane. So all his followers was like, well, two wrongs don't make a right. Really? But y'all dogging this poor woman out because she chose to say, no, you tried to kill my family. No, I don't
Well,
get it.
again, I ask you and all the other people, why are you so surprised
It
about
ain't being
this?
surprised. It's
I
just,
mean,
I'm
but I mean,
trying, fair is fair.
you're bringing it
Stop
up as
talking
though
about her.
you're bringing it up as though you're expecting him to do things decently in order. I mean, that's just not how Trump has spun this whole web of his. He has done it with deception, treachery, and just basically feeding off of the bigotry and hatred and racism of other people who want America to be what he calls great again, but white again. He can do things that he doesn't want to do. You're absolutely right. They are jumping all up on Michelle Obama for not being there and Pence's wife for not being there. They said, Michelle was selfish and stuff like that, even though when he went out of office, he didn't meet with President Biden. He walked away and left and did all and didn't come to the inauguration at all. He did all this stuff, but that's what Trump does. People are not going to look at that. What they're going to do is they do that tit for tat. Well, such and such and such did this. Well, such a that's the playbook. That is the playbook that they're working with, and unfortunately, it has worked for them. And so you can't expect someone to do things decently in order. Here's a man who won't even touch the Bible. You expecting him to have a morale, some kind of indecency? I mean, what are you looking for here? He is a dictator. He's a neurotic dictator who uh, removed the picture of a general who was just honored at the White House on day one. His picture was only there for a couple of weeks. He moved it out of the
Was it
way.
General White?
Yeah, but he wasn't for Trump. And basically with Trump pardoning all these people and saying, "Hey, I'm for the police," he's for anyone who supports him. If you don't, he's not. He
So I'm
has
sure Obama picture is gone too, huh?
he has maybe he has made a decision and people have followed it that it's going to be his way or the highway. And majority of the United States made the decision to vote for him or sit on their butt and not vote at all. And so there's no reason to come up with these sane arguments about what this man should do. Now we're going to play this video from this bishop who was asking Trump something, and you look on his face, he's looking like, one, I'm going to get you fired.
Oh,
And two, you don't make recommendations to what I should do as the God of the United States. So I think Kenny's got the video. We're gonna see if we can get it played. You'll only be able to see it on YouTube and not Facebook. But Kenny, do you have that ready?
A bishop takes on Trump and pleads with him face to face to, quote, have mercy. The Episcopal Bishop of Washington pleading with President Trump to show compassion towards undocumented immigrants and the LGBTQ community. A dramatic moment coming during her sermon at today's National Prayer Service.
Let me make one final plea, Mr. President. Millions have put their trust in you. And as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now.
Your tone there, so serious and genuine. You see him, he's stone-faced, he then looks down, but he's listening to every word you say. As you made that personal plea to him, what were you looking at him in that moment? What kind of response were you perhaps hoping for in that moment?
I was looking at the president because I was speaking directly to him. I was also, frankly, as you do in every sermon, speaking to everyone who was listening through that one-on-one conversation with the president, reminding us all that in the people that are frightened in our country, the two groups of people that I mentioned are our fellow human beings, and that they have been portrayed in all throughout the political campaign in the harshest of lights that I wanted to counter as gently as I could with a reminder of their humanity and their place in our wider community. And I was speaking to the president because I felt that he had.
Yeah, I mean, she was speaking to the president. We didn't get a chance to see the video there, and so if you didn't get a chance to see it, I apologize. But this is the bishop was telling him about it, and she also okay, they saw the video. So they also she talked about in the video further about being concerned about other genders, because their word and concern. You are the president of the United States, and that you have to be for all the people, not just the people that voted for you. I believe she said as well. And so the look on his face was like, how dare you say something like? I think he was more like that. The look first was like he was shocked. Like, is she actually up here saying this? Mm-hmm. He probably he's probably trying to fire the person that put her up there on my staff. Who did that? Or I want to know who did that. He wants to know who allowed her to get up there on his staff because he's going to be fired. Then he's going to find out who at the church did this. Can I fire them? Can I send ICE over here to get rid of her? Can we say that she's lost her birthright?
Oh.
I mean, he did not, and he was like shocked, and he looked at
and
him
it
like,
wasn't just
oh
him.
my goodness.
It was his wife, J.D. Vance, looking at his wife. The children, they had that look on their face like, oh, bleep, bleep. So stuff about to go down. And it's like, you know what? I'm glad she did. She has such a calm voice. She didn't come to him like, you better, you should, none of that. A sister probably would have did it. She didn't do none of that. She had the most calming voice. And you could feel that it was genuine coming from her. Like I said earlier, God grant you grace. If that attack was true, I still say that was a whole setup too, just to get more votes and everything. But as much as you saying God spared me to save America, okay, grant some other people empathy too and grace. But that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, and we don't know if any those things that happening. History may be able to provide us with more general detail about things that happened to Trump, and was it something that was put into place so he can get sympathy. And I really do believe that at that point when that the shot came on against him, it rallied up a lot of people to support him, because they felt that people were trying to harm him and stop him from doing something good. And I mean, hey, you can pay somebody to do the perfect scenario. I mean, he did get kind of swiped a little bit by the bullet, so I can't see Trump saying,
he smashed that ketchup.
Get it close to me where it cuts me a little, but I mean that's
smashed the ketchup packet.
Yeah,
Boop.
yeah. I and I don't want that happening on the show. We don't know this, so we're not gonna sit there and say that Trump did. We don't know, and so let's stay at least true to our morals. We don't know what has happened with that, but I can't see Trump, wanting someone to shoot him and a bullet to get that close, because it could miss, and so
You're thinking it was a bullet.
Yeah, I know, but that's what they said it is, and so the assumption that it might be something else, we don't know. And the worst thing you can do is start, bringing up hyperbolic, thought
So,
processes on things that we are not necessarily sure
okay, I
of
get
what it is,
that.
and we are still a Christian show.
But isn't that what he doing? One of his decrees he took out that now it ain't no fact checking. You could do false spurs, false
I
lies, and
understand that, but
everything.
because that's what they do doesn't mean that's what we do.
Yeah, I get that. But I'm just saying everything with him is
We
always.
we got to reel in Betty Shabazz because
I'm just
we,
seeing it what it is.
you
It's
know,
like,
but
dude.
but we don't want to give the impression that we think that you don't know. But one thing I can say factually is Trump has showed his hand, and the people have voted for it. He's in the office. He's doing what he said he's going to do. Read the guidelines. We saw that the 900 and some page of the Project 2025. Again, I say, why are you surprised with anything that he is doing? Another thing I want to say real quick, and then we're going to go off this subject. We're going to go to another song. Is that President Trump is trying to get the Panama Canal back. He's almost putting us in wars here. The Panama
Putting us in
Canal.
what again?
Panama Canal. He's almost going to put us in these wars with people. He's going to try to take back the Panama Canal. The Panama Canal has been taken by the American Panamanian control since 1999 and is now managed by the Panamanian government and the Panama Canal Authority. But Trump wants to regain United States to regain the Panama Canal, and so he's having, he's starting a chaos, a fight about that. Trump wants to buy Greenland from, and this is something that is, he wants to do this because he thinks it strategically helps us in Americas to have that. But there's a video out there with
To have Greenland?
yeah, it's an area called Greenland. But the Dutch leaders are telling, they pretty much said to Trump, F you, about trying to do that. But he's strategically trying to find a way to get Greenland. Now he's telling Putin, stop the war that you have with Ukraine now because he's the president. Stop the war. You're going to be in trouble. Trouble like you've never seen before.
I thought they was good friends.
No, well, he's acting like he's not now. He's telling him he's going to put tariffs against Putin, which Putin doesn't care. I mean, United States has been putting tariffs on him since 4 years in Biden rule. He don't care. But he's getting these kind of warlike things like he's got to get, you better do this or we're going to come after you. And, he's basically doing the same thing that Putin is doing. Putin wants to bring the Ukraine back under Soviet Union, Russia's rule. I went back to the old days of the Soviet Union, but Russia rule, and he wants to take over that territory. And if he can't have it, he wants to destroy it. Trump is now saying that he wants the Panama Canal and Greenland, and he's basically doing the same narcissistic things that Putin is doing, but yet trying to show face or strength against Putin, who have many said that Putin thinks he's weak and he doesn't have any respect for him. So, I mean, these things that, I say to everybody, why are we surprised that these things are happening? This is Trump in a nutshell. You asked for it, you got it. Trump. That's just what it is. Hey, we're going to play some more songs here. And again, we apologize for some of the, technical difficulties. We did it on a Wednesday, and things have kind of changed a little bit. And we apologize for some of the problems that we're having. But we're going to play a song here by J.J. Harrison called You Deserve It. Have a couple commercial breaks, and then we're going to shift back into the previous thing we was talking about on, what is it? Why Did I Get Married? Helpmate versus helpless. Listen up to these songs, commercial breaks, and we'll be right back. You got anything else for us? I got to get up.
Okay, let's talk about why some Instagram users aren't able to unfollow Trump and J.D. Vance. Social media users are in an uproar. Celebrities are going crazy, such as Demi Lovato and Gracie Abrams. They're saying as many times that they try to unfollow these two people, they're having a hard time doing it. It comes right back up. Meta is counteracting and saying, no, we're not purposely doing that. We've been working to fix this, but it's going to take some time on Instagram to fix this. So the accounts are not set up to force people to follow them. Babe, what do you think with that?
I think Mark Zuckerberg, call him Zuckerberg again. I think he knows how to handle that. It's interesting that they're saying that they can't. They're having some issues with that, but as they cancel them, the system is supposedly automatically putting them back as followers of Trump. Really? I mean, so it's just. I mean, now. I mean, some people may know the system of Timo. Once you get on there, I mean, you might try to cancel, and then all of a sudden you'll start seeing Timo stuff again. Like, wow, what? I thought I canceled this Timo account. Nothing against Timo, love Timo, but these things can happen, but they're happening intentionally, not by a mistake. They're intentionally happening that because Timo has now, probably somehow in the background has gotten information to your website, and then they can easily or your computer, and they might be able to resend you something or hey, why is this Timo thing popping up? So I don't think that one time okay, but this is based on what they're saying. This happened several times, and so my question is, you can't just sit there and say, oh, well, we're working on it. Are you?
They said they've been working on it since 2020. They not manipulating this. It don't take no 5 years for all you brilliant tech people, billionaires, to try to figure this stuff out. Like I said, I really do think Mark, CEO of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, since you up there on the in the cabinet, the cabinet's one of Trump's picks. Yeah. It's so funny how now people can't unfollow them.
Well, it's so funny because I'm looking for this story for this information for Help Made It Helpless, and I'm going to Microsoft Word, and all of a sudden we were talking about how Trump has put a lot of money, $500 billion into generating AI programs. I get on here and I'm asking Kenny about this legitimately. Is this okay? It says new Copilot included in Microsoft 365 plan. And so they said Microsoft's 365 plan enhances the Copilot, our powerful AI companion that makes completing tasks a breeze. Your subscription unlocks AI credits and experience Copilot across Microsoft's 365 apps and beyond. Kenny, have you heard anything about this? Because it's kind of interesting to me that all of a sudden this just popped up. I don't know, is Kitty still there? But I'm going to say get started and see what happens here. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that they could definitely, take care of. It shouldn't take as long as they're saying that it's taking. And unfortunately, this has happened. I just want to see if Kenny sent me anything.
Well, while we waiting on this next story, unprecedented winter storm paralyzes Gulf Coast with record-breaking snow, even in Florida. It is New Orleans, Louisiana, of course. Florida, part of Texas, Alabama. I think my nephew told my mom that they got 6 inches, and it's like, what the heck? You talking Alabama, all these southern states, and people don't believe it's a climate change. They believe it now because even though we're used to the cold weather and snow, you sort of expect that with northern western states. But these southern states getting hit and slammed with all of this snow, and we don't even have 2 inches out. We don't even have an inch out there. But not that we want it, but it is kind of shocking because it caused so many problems. It broke so many records of the snowfall coming into certain states, but because they're not equipped to handle it like we are. It have deadly conditions that happen, babe, and 10 people have been dead, had died from it. You have airport disruptions because cancellations of flights and widespread road closures because they don't have the means to clear the roads. So they're telling people, please stay at home. It's going to take days. This ain't like an inch or two of snow. If you don't have the salt or the trucks, the manpower to do this, these people are going to be SOL for probably a week because that's a lot of snow for certain people. And when Georgia got hit, I'm like, wow. I mean, Memphis got hit, well, Tennessee and Memphis, they got hit. It's just sad that we have to go through all this snow. Like one half of the country, or really just California, burning. I know that stopped now, I hope. But they was burning for some weeks. Now, southern state, it's like, what is going on? Is it the climate change, babe? Or did that have anything to do with it? Or this is all the will of God? He's switching things up.
Yeah, well, I'm not quite sure. And the global warming definitely because of something, but I'm trying to see with Kenny right now. Um, oh, they got you on there now. So I'm, I was, I followed global warming, and I was kind of skeptical about it, but then you start seeing a lot of different things. But recently, with the climatic change of the weathers and stuff like that, you got to kind of figure that some of the climate changing that they're talking about in our environment and how we use our environment or neglect our environment is extremely real because they got 10 inches of snow in New Orleans. I mean, they didn't know how to act. They had to close down, I think it's Interstate 40, because it was like a pack of ice, and they don't have salt like Midwestern states would have to be able to, salt the road. Now, I don't know what the weather is in, New Orleans today, and it might get up to be about 40 or 45 degrees, and all that stuff will start melting, and then they're gonna have floods. They have to worry about. I'm sure the crocodiles and people in the lake, like, what the heck is going on here? But it's, the global warming does seem to be something that we need to really look into. Your current president doesn't really believe in that stuff. So, next 4 years you can forget it. But it is very important that we look into that. Yeah. So Kenny just said tomorrow will be 45 degrees in New Orleans. So that's going to melt a lot of snow. By Sunday to be 65. Yeah, they're gonna have a lot of you better have some flood insurance.
Yeah, we just went through that too last weekend. Last Friday was what 40 something near 50, and then we went into a deep freeze. It's like, oh
yeah, but it's not compared to what's happening out there. They're not used to that. We are.
Yeah,
they're really not used to that. I mean, you was in Memphis one time. They almost freaked out when they had an ice storm. 10 inches of snow in January in New Orleans, they're that whole city is probably closed down. They don't know how to act, and then it's got to go from 45 tomorrow to 60 in a couple of days. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of flooding, and so they need to prepare for that because I don't know if a lot of those places there are used to having. Well, they're used to having rain there, but that's going to be a lot of snow that's going to have to dissipate somewhere. So, you definitely have to pray for those in New Orleans and Florida. It's like they got snow, and I think you was talking about your nephew who was in Alabama. They got snow along the area there, and so this is something they're not used to. I remember one time when I was working long time ago for a Fannie Mae mortgage, and I had to go out to Washington D.C. and they were closing the city down because of the threat of 2 inches of snow, because they didn't have anything they didn't have plows or anything like that would be able to do that. So they were closing the city down and telling us to go home just for the threat of snow. So we got about 15 minutes before we go back online here. So we appreciate y'all listening to us throughout the technical difficulties. All right, everybody, welcome back to Let's Stay Together Talk Show. Your host, Reverend Rick McCain, along with my baby, my girl, my boo. Again, we appreciate you all staying with us through the technical difficulties that we're having today. We think that, Facebook is, kind of caused some issues with us because we're talking about Trump, and
They ain't find us that fast.
they may have found me already because I've been putting out so many things about Trump beforehand. I'm like, that Rick guy, we don't like him. But we are having some technical difficulty. I'm just having some fun. It happens. But we appreciate you being here with us. But we're going to switch gears a little bit, going away from all the Trump stuff. You're going to be hearing this for another, I would say, 57, 56 days.
Because he's going to give us a lot to talk about, a lot of content.
He's going to do. But here's the thing I want to say about Trump that people seem to forget. Trump has literally, to me, been in office for 8 years. Because even during the time of Biden, that's all we talked about was Trump.
Yeah,
that's all we talked about was Trump. Trump this, Trump calls it, Trump telling the Republicans to do Trump this, Trump this, Trump that. And then, around the time he was able to run again, that's all it was. It was Trump. I mean, it was almost like he was more of the president of the United States than the president of the United States. And so now we got another 4 years. So it's almost like we're going to have like 12 years of Trump. And then you got to figure, will he go away afterwards? Is he just going to be a menace to society for the rest of his life? And what does that mean for our political environment of the United States moving forward? So that's something, we need to look into. But we're going to go into our why did I get married subject. And baby, what are we talking about now?
A helpmate versus helpless.
All right. So you all had, we had a provider versus pretender for the men. And now here, as I move up, we were talking about last week the helpmate versus helpless. And we talked about a couple of things where women can do. And one was she brings him good and not harm, being an intercessor and respecting him. And so we're going to go with, I think it's about two more that we have, maybe 2 or 3 more we have here that we're going to talk about real quick before the end of the show. And the other thing, one of the other things was respecting him, showing my husband respect, honoring him, genuinely praising his efforts to provide for our family, considering and supporting his vision, showing my respect for him publicly. All these actions on my part help him to step into the role all of these actions on my part help him to step into the role God designed him for. That's kind of written kind of backwards, but that's okay. But I like that part because what it's saying is that level of respect for your husband is being a helpmate that moves him into the role that God has designed him for. Now, it's not saying that, you could be a hindrance, but as the song says, what God has for me, it is for me. It's not saying that you can hinder or stop it by not doing these things. But what it's basically saying is that you have the power as a helpmate to motivate, to encourage, to establish him publicly through your respect for his role that God has designed for him to shine upon all that see him and know you, and to have that kind of power that you are, that God is saying as his helpmate, I am giving you this so you can be not only a light for him, but you are his, soulmate, his equal, his love. You are the one that is not only a light for him, but you're shining a light on him by showing others and him how much you respect him as a man of God. And so I love that about what they're saying there, because it's so important that you show your husband respect. Now, I don't want to go into the part, well, why do you don't desire respect? We're not going to go into that, because you can always have something that you could say about someone. But we're talking about the established thing that God is calling a helpmate to do, and that's to respect the husband's role that God has designed for him, and not only shine a light on him, but also be a light to him by respecting him and the role that he's in.
Yes, that's beautiful. Because if a woman respects her husband and shows him that desire, love, he does more. He does more for her, for the family, and other people will see that. It's not like, oh, if I say this, I get that. That's not what I'm talking about. That if you're in a Christian marriage and you chose this person to marry, why not honor him as he did you, or would do you as well? But why not honor him and respect him and be gracious to him and stuff? Tell him, babe, you did a good job with that. You knocked that out. I know it's hard, for some women to actually say, I could have done this better, or this, or that. No, God put him as the head of the house. Again, we're talking to Christians, God, the husband, the wife, and the children. And I don't care. I know women are independent, but I also know a woman would love to have a good God-fearing man in her life to put her first instead of being the man in your relationship. If you're married, as I say, stay in your lane, and he's going to be in his lane. Why not? Like I said, honor him and let him know, because that's all it takes. Sometimes you got to let them know you're doing good, baby. I appreciate you. I love you. It's showing a level of respect.
And going back to what you had said there, that, she could probably do it better. This isn't, I'm not saying you're saying it, but it's not like it's a competition. I know. Mm-hmm. This is not like it's a competition, because you don't want to think of this as, I can do it better. If it's something, if we go to that, if it's something you can do better, then you should have done it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I could have fixed that better. I could see that's not respecting and honoring. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that I do around this house, but I've got enough common sense to know that there's other people that can do it better. We've had a house remodeled by this wonderful gentleman that works with us, and I'm not going to give out his name because I don't want anybody to know who he is. But he has come in and totally refurnished how our house looks with painting and things of that nature, and done an excellent job. I don't have that kind of skill, so I don't. You don't want to go to your house, your husband, and say, well, he could do it better than you. No, the encouraging thing of respecting your husband is, motivating him to understand that, there are certain tasks that you might need someone else to come in and do. And respect, the opportunity to say, hey, babe, I know you want to do this, but, how about us deciding to go with this individual that we know that has the expertise in it? And I will admit, sometimes men can be vain. Well, I'll do it myself. I'm not one of those. Okay.
And that's what I do love. I respect you more of accepting that, because you got some men who will be like, if it ain't my way, it ain't no way, I'm doing it, and they have the money and the means to go outside to get someone to do it, but they just don't want another man to do it. And it's like, if you do have another man, don't mean I lose respect for you. I respect you more because you know your limitations. And the thing is, if you don't, men and women included, if you don't know your limitations on stuff, it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, and thing again is that this is all about respecting your husband in the role, and I bring that up because I know that there's a possibility that there's some things that we want to sit there and say, well, I can't respect I can't. No, we're talking generally just a general scenario where you as a helpmate respect him. Now, if you're going to be helpless, then you're going to start, bringing up things. Well, he could do it. Well, you get that's being helpless because you're not respecting him by saying you don't know how to do this, so you're not really being a helpmate. You're being helpless. You're downing your husband. You're making him feel bad. You're not respecting him. And there are certain times the helpless person will publicly say something. Well, you shouldn't have done that anyway. We should have got somebody to do it. That's helpless, because now what you're doing is you're demeaning your husband instead of lifting him up. Some things you probably want to say in an encouraging way. Say, hey, babe, I love the commercial that I see, and I can't remember the company that does it, but the man is trying to back up into the house, and he keeps on hitting the fence, and the wife comes in and, hey babe, you did a good try, let the other guy comes in, and it's like a professional who comes in there, and he drives he pulls the car back in, he pulls it in perfectly because he's a professional, he's done this before, but she did it in an encouraging way to say, hey babe, you've done great this far, let's bring such and such in. And that's what you want. That's the respect that you want to give to your husband. And that's what a helpmate does, instead of someone who's trying to be helpless and don't want to respect or do anything to encourage the husband at all. Go real quickly into speaking life over him and in him. And I love that one too. Being a husband's number one encourager is so vital to his success. My husband needs someone to cheer him on in the areas of life. Who better than his helpmate, his wife? When I have given in to my flesh and not been a speaker of life to my husband, I have always produced bad fruit and have regretted not choosing God's word instead. Our words matter, and I love that. Speaking life into him. We talk about all the time about how the man has to go out, he has to deal with all this, and he wants to come home to his wife and blah blah. And women want to do that too. So I could hear somebody say, "Oh, we want it too," but we're talking about helpmate versus helpless. We already talked about being a provider versus a pretender. So here, you do want someone to be your encourager, to lift you up, to be there for you, the cheerleader, to make you feel better about, the trials and tribulations you're going through life. Even when you're going through it yourself, you need to put aside what you're going through as a helpmate to cheer him on. And again, I keep going, well, what about me? We're not talking about you. We're talking about helpmate versus helpless. The helpless person thinks about, what about me? And it can be very hard, even if you're a Christian, saved and sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost. It can be hard sometimes to be that cheerleader when people have been dumping on you. But you have to be able to separate that as a helpmate, a Christian woman that is following the word of God and wants to be a helpmate, and just look into the understanding of moving yourself out of the way so you can provide encouragement words for your mate. I can remember one time, and I'll let Brenda talk real quick. I remember one time I was going through a trial and tribulation. I shared this story before, that I was, having some issues with relationships, and some guy came up to me and he's telling me about his relationship, and I'm encouraging him to go through his relationship when I was having my problems of my own. And I'm saying to God, why do you have me talking to him about helping him with his relationship and understand him? Because I mean, he was thinking about committing suicide at that time. Like, why do you have me helping him? At that time, I didn't know it until the end. He was telling me I was thinking about committing suicide over the relationship. So glad that I talked to him. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so happy that I did. We don't have to understand why God wants us to be a helpmate, but we do have to tell God why we're being helpless.
That's a good
So
one.
you always want to speak encouragement into your husband, regardless to the situation you're going through.
Yeah, you speak life into each other. And for this topic today, women always speak life into your mate. Encourage them, inspire them to do better than what they're doing. And whatever they're doing, that's all in good. You know, encourage them. That's the word I want to use tonight. Encourage your mate that, babe, you got this if they going to, because you know the world is going to beat them down. And a safe haven is to come to your home with a loving wife without one that's going to give you strife. You got to fight her and fight the people outside the door. But you have to lift them up. You have to encourage your spouse. You got to say, baby, you got this. Come on. Okay, I know things are about to change, but we're going to go through it together. Always let them know you're there with them. You the ride and die chick you fell in love with. This is when they need you, when they're going through something. If your spouse is not the huggy type that needs you to constantly be up on it, just let them know, babe, I'm praying for you. You know, let them know that. And that's the biggest thing you can do, is to pray for your spouse and let them know you're praying for them and stuff.
So the last two I'm just gonna bring up, and I'm not gonna really talk about them because of the essence of time. Being respectfully honest with him. It says, where there are issues that trouble me or that I simply don't agree with my husband, I have found it very helpful for him and me if I am respectfully honest with him. It never helps when I give into fear and other emotions and express them in my words. But if I am simply honest while maintaining respect for him and trust in God, there is almost always a positive response from him. And then the last one says that I'm going to read is just striving to anticipate his needs from day to day with a servant's heart. I do love that. I just read real quickly. Simple things like helping him with problem solving, making sure he has a nice lunch to take every day. You know, those kind of things. A meal, favorite meal, do the laundry. I mean, just simple things. It could be, there could be something that he likes that's not on the list. But just as a helpmate, you anticipate his needs. You know what they're going to need because you've been there and you've done that. And so it's very important you do that. So we're going to end it on that for helpmate versus helpless. We hope that these things that we discuss are going to be helpful to you. You may have to look at 2 videos to see that, though. But we appreciate you being a part of that. We've got about, I think about 13 minutes left. We should be able to get into a couple of things we got. So, Miss Brittany.
Let's do Let's Play real quick. Let's talk about that play we seen last night, because I think we talked about Jaja's African Braiding last week.
Yes, we did.
We just went to Goodman Theater and seen a play called Fat Ham. It was by definition theater at Goodman Theater. Give it 3 stars. The play is about a boisterous Southern cookout, sets the scene for a Black queer discovery of self and resilience, and is Pulitzer Prize winning 5-time Tony nominated uproarious re-imaging of Hamlet, Shakespeare's Hamlet. This is what I was raised in. This is a quote. Pig guts and bad choices. As Juicy, who's Hamlet, grapples with Hamlet's son, right? Juicy
is not Hamlet's son. Not Hamlet's son. Juicy is
Hamlet.
Juicy is Hamlet in
Fat
this play.
Ham, yes. Fat Ham. As Juicy grapples with his identity and his family at a backyard barbecue. His father's ghost shows up asking for revenge. It was interesting, to say the least. Very interesting. I enjoyed just to see, if you've seen Hamlet, the story of Shakespeare's story, and then the comparisons were there, but it's just we put the juice on juicy in this play.
Yeah, I mean, it was that. It does have a lot of similarities in Hamlet. It's just as confusing as Hamlet too. Have you ever seen Hamlet before? And especially if it was in high school or something like that. The vernacular of Shakespearean words back then was kind of difficult to understand, and sometimes this is just as confusing. But Juicy played the part of a modern day Hamlet, and his father, by the name of Paps, played the father that was slain by his uncle. Juicy's uncle, which is his father's brother, and he wanted revenge on him. And Juicy was, not really keen about doing that, and still dealing with some issues on his own. And so, James is very provocative playwright who wrote this thing called Kill Mood Paradise. He's very provocative in dealing with social justice and, the unseen and unobserved and unknown people. He sheds a light on them to give them a voice that in other cases would not be heard. So I do appreciate him doing that. I did give it 3 stars. I thought there was some parts on it that just didn't, catch me, with it. Heck, unfortunately, I was sitting behind somebody who was so big I couldn't see him. The play sometimes too. I had to keep on moving. I mean, Lord have mercy. I thought she was I'm not going to say that. I'm going to, she was big, and so that sometimes when you get plays like that, you don't want you don't want to see. You don't want to be behind someone when you can't see. So I kept on having them moving around and something like that. But there was some parts that were just just kind of lagged a little, and they didn't move as smoothly as one would want. And it is very, even though it's similar to that, it's very complicated with understanding the nuances and the similarities of Shakespeare, William Shakespeare's Hamlet, to a modern day scenario that I. James did in Fat Ham. But it is definitely worth seeing.
And it will be there at Goodman Theater until March the 2nd. So if you're in the Chicagoland area, check it out if you like Shakespeare and to see Shakespeare reimagined.
So that's good. 2 plays, and we was laughing before because there's 2 plays, African-American plays, Yaya's African Hair Braiding, which is at Chicago Shakes, and Fat Ham, which is a Definition Theater in corporation with Goodman Theater. That's where it's playing at. 2 African-American plays before February, which is just totally amazing. So I think it's wonderful that they're doing that. I'm just hoping that all of a sudden February comes and well, we did this in January. We ain't doing it now.
We got Raising in the Sun Court Theater in February.
True. So definitely check it out. Both of them are worth seeing. Yaya's African Hair Braiding and Fat Ham.
You want to do the relationship letter? We got about
you don't have
6
any.
minutes.
You don't have any. Club 50, blah, 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 nothing like that. Okay, go to relationship letter.
Okay. Dear LSTT, there is too much going on in this world, and frankly, I don't need any of the drama in my household. Just the other day, my son, his girlfriend, and her 2 children landed on my doorstep. I'm not cool with this, especially when she has kinfolks she can go to, and she isn't his wife. My son is so keen on keeping the family together until they could get back on their feet. LSTT, I know my son has some trust issues with her from before. However, I am not feeling this sudden move over here. Am I wrong in telling him he can't stay? He can stay, but not her. Sincerely, it's not happening.
So is this his wife or girlfriend?
This is his mother. He landed on his mother's step with his girlfriend and
that's
her
what I'm
2
talking
children.
about. Is that his girlfriend or wife? It can be the mother's wife. So that's what I was asking. So his girlfriend. It just, when she was talking about she didn't want any more drama, it kind of made me think of when Denzel Washington said, "We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock land on us. So she's got this situation. If you don't know that, that's from Malcolm X. But she has a situation where now all of a sudden her son is coming with his girlfriend, and they've had some, situations within their relationship, and she doesn't want the girlfriend there, and that she is a girlfriend. I can understand why she may not want them there, because she doesn't want the trauma. I would even say, if it was his wife, I don't need any unnecessary, drama coming to my house either. But I would say, before you just harshly say no, kind of see how you can help your son. If you love your son and you good or bad relationship situation that he's going through, if you love him, don't just push him aside and say you can but I can't. We're just talking about that being a helpmate or helpless. This is a situation also with this. You are his mother, so you have to be an helpmate to him. So I would say maybe talk to him about your reasons as why you don't want them there, and then see if you can find a way to financially assist him, or teach him how he can financially find another place to be at, instead of bringing all the drama there to your house that you don't feel that you want to be there. You do have the right to say no, but I would say out of love, don't just say no. Say let's look at other options.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, Miss, it's not happening. Write some more details on this, because you dropped the nugget and say your son had trust issues with her before. So selfishly, it seems as though he's just trying to keep her close no matter what's going on, but he could keep an eye on her. I can understand you as the mother saying, one, you're not married to her, two, these are not your kids, and three, whatever issues y'all done went through, you're not bringing this drama to my house. I mean, talk it out before you give a hard no or a soft yes. I don't know, but it just seems as though when you stated that she has kin folks and they didn't fall out, she could go there. If you need to say somewhere, yeah, mama gonna take you back over here, but that's a lot. And if they're not working, that's 4 extra mouths to feed up in your household. But I know with the love of mom, most moms, they gon', okay, baby, I'm gonna work with you this time. But son, if you the one having issues with her and she might have stepped out or done something financially wrong, it's wrong for you to put that on your mother to solve the temporary problem right now, because you're not trusting her to be with her family or out of your eyesight. So I just say, pray on it.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I forgot about the kids involved in it as well. But you don't want to be the cause of their division. You can stay, but not her. That's causing a division. And there's already drama within that, so you don't want to be the added drama, where now the girlfriend that has your 2 babies that are that you would want to see,
They not his kids, but I know.
Oh, they're not his kids. Okay, well she may not care at all, but you still don't want to be the division between that. As Brenda said, write a little bit more about this so we can find some more information that we can share. But thank you very much for sharing that relationship there.
Okay, well that's it. We about to wrap up.
We about to wrap up. We got 2 minutes before we go on. Again, we really appreciate those of you who stayed on SOAR Radio with us, and maybe on Facebook when it was there, and YouTube out there. We appreciate you staying us through this difficulties. We will be back on the radios on Tuesday next week, so hopefully we won't have these issues going forward, because there's no DEI anymore, so we I don't know who to fire, if this happens, maybe I fire myself.
Again, happy 70th birthday to LB McCain.
Yeah, that's my brother. Happy birthday. And thank you very much for those who are listening. Hey, we're going to let Kenny play the last song, which is going to be Chicago Mass Choir, God is Everything. And for those who have been listening to us on SOAR Radio, we appreciate it. Make sure you get your tickets for SOAR 2025. The SOAR Awards for SOAR 2025. See you next week, 7 p.m. Tuesday We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We're still on Facebook, YouTube, or what? Just YouTube. YouTube people, thank you for staying there. See you next Tuesday. We'll be back again on Tuesday. And hopefully we'll have an agreement with Facebook that they don't cancel us when we're on the show. So we'll get that together with them. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Okay.